I was flat. I didn't have Niash. Zero bum bum. So my peers, they call me flatty or don't flat. And at first it's not that deep, but then deep down it hurt me, and it had like a big dent on my self-esteem that I really had to like work on it to change that mindset.
Jokes that they do in group settings where they are just speaking at you and stuff. It may seem like a joke, but when you recognize the consistency of someone pointing out how big your nose is.
I remember like it was yesterday. I walked into a classroom filled with students, and one guy said to me, "You know, your friend Kara really doesn't need makeup. You do." And it really dampened my self-esteem for a long time. It might not be makeup you were loved with about. It might not be glasses. It might not be scars. But certainly, some way, somehow, playfully or seriously, you've been mocked. Hi, everyone. My name is Cindy Ekuba-Denamishiami, and I'm going to be your host for the Next Gen podcast. And on today's session, we're going to be talking about verbal bullying. Stay tuned. With me are esteemed speakers.
Hello everyone, my name is Wanzi Brittany.
Hi, I'm Decoding.
Hi, I'm Chidera Mojeke.
Hello, my name is Lionel Ajabe.
You're all welcome. Welcome, viewers. My first question is, how do you understand verbal bullying?
Okay, so verbal bullying from the name is it's saying harmful languages, using harmful languages in order to insult someone, in order to like bring down the person's self-esteem.
But where do we draw the line between verbal bullying and joking, or teasers and playful banters?
You see those snide remarks, those chill jokes that they do in group settings where they are just speaking at you and stuff. It may seem like a joke, but when you recognize the consistency of someone pointing out how big your nose is, or how awkward your face look, or unsymmetrical to the conventional standard of beauty, or whatever thing they use to put people down, that is verbal bullying. Whether it's about your religion or like your culture or whatever, or your food, for example, and it might be like a joke and stuff, and everyone is laughing, right? As long as it made you feel small, it made you feel like doubt yourself and uncomfortable, that is verbal bullying.
Okay. But aside the teasers, the playful banters, are there any other forms of verbal bullying, and what are they?
Yeah, there are many forms of verbal bullying. Depends on the person and what he or she attempts to do. So, for example, we have body shaming, which is seen mostly on social media. Bloggers normally do this thing. And we have sexist comments. They just pick one gender and be speaking ill about that particular gender. And in the normal Ghanaian setting, derogatory remarks. I think growing up, our parents, see how your big head, your father will insult you. So those are all forms of verbal bullying.
Okay, so you're indirectly saying that my mom saying, "Oh, you stupid girl, coming here," is verbal bullying.
No, you see, when she says stupid girl, as she does consistently, sorry, that's when it becomes verbal bullying. Me personally, when I was in primary, they used to laugh at me like I like playing with girls. The first time they said it, I wasn't really bothered. But as time goes on, people were saying it day in and day out. So it got to a point in time I was like, then I'll not play with anyone again. So that's when it brought a dent into my socialization process. I don't meet people. If I say I get passed, so I think it's had an effect on me. So the consistency of the verbal bullying becomes a problem for the individual.
In addition to mindset, there are certain times you meet certain people. You may not think you are doing the best, so long as you don't have the emotional person. For example, I hate you. That's the thing. Context. You get the emotional thing from the person. Now, when the person wants to contemplate on that, it will lead to something. That will also
But you see, in a typical African society where local dialects like Eyara, are you okay? Those things, people use those things in Ghana, in Ewe. How do you know that? Are you consciously or unconsciously bullying someone? Because I'm not in your head. How do I know that you are being bullied or I am bullying you?
You can easily pick out when someone is speaking at you when you feel it. We have the natural ability to analyze our environment, context, and like the emotions that are being set out. When, like, for example, as a Nigerian, we used to be like, you dey craze, abi they mad type shit. You understand those type of things? We have these conversations, and everyone can know that that's not verbal bullying. You get, like, we are just joking and stuff like that, right? But when I then come to you, I'll be like, that it look like one bush rat or one bush lady. You yourself, you cannot lie, of course. You know that's verbal bullying. So we can't really say just because in our social context, like there is those joke remarks or snide remarks as we call it, that is normalized and we understand it. You can see we understand this is jokes, right? But the ones that you feel in your heart that it's affecting you, you know that's not jokes. So that isn't like how you can classify it and know that this is verbal bullying.
Then let me give you this example. So there was this time I went to from school. I was waiting for my exam. I decided to sit on the wall. When he came, he looked at me. I was like, I thought you were in a university. Then the way I was sitting. Now we all laughed about it, but later on, my friends are when they see me, the name they give me is the graduate. Now in that instant, I thought you were in the university did not affect me, but the name the graduate due to the situation. So to him, he was thinking I should know enough that where I'm sitting is not right. That's why he made a statement and we all laughed. But after name, I thought the graduate, that would affect me. And until now, anybody that mentions that name to me,
So to like add up to what Leonia said about like the forms of verbal bullying, which is like body shaming. So I'm going to give like a personal experience. So growing up like in my teens and everything, I was flat. I didn't have Niash. Zero bum bum. So my peers they call me flatty or don't flat. And at first it was funny. It was funny to me at first. I just laugh about it. But then when I sit down, I find myself like, hold up. Then I look at myself in the mirror like, actually flat. Then you see me, I was kind of like scrolling Instagram looking for like booty gummies, booty girls and stuff like that. So at first I took it like, okay, it's nothing. It's not that deep. Like what people normally say whenever they do a joke and it hurts someone like, oh, it's not that deep. I was like, it's not that deep. But then deep down it hurt me and it had like a big dent on my self esteem that I really had to like work on it to change that mindset. That you must not have like a big booty to be beautiful. Like just love yourself the way you are.
I've had a similar experience, and it was with the whole Woody something. At least it was just the back. Mine was everywhere, no shame, nothing. And constantly, people were picking on you for it, laughing at you, and it looked like to be able to save myself from that kind of derogatory remarks, I started playing and hanging out more with guys. It's like that's why you feel like you belong more, and it sort of affected my relationship with females. But the issue was how I'll take, oh, you're so flat, or oh, you look like a boy. It's different from how Chidera is going to take, oh, you're so flat. Where then do I know that I'm being verbally bullied when Chidera is not being verbally bullied? How do I know that? Is there a standard for this thing or this particular remark causes verbal bullying?
You see, we cannot do that because it would be unfair. The only reason Chidera will probably not take it as verbal bullying is probably because on that, like in her mind, she doesn't think it's a problem for her. But that word itself, it's still a problem. Do you get? So just because probably the person worked on themselves and doesn't take comments on themselves as in personal, doesn't give you the justification to still use those comments. You know, it doesn't give us the justification to intentionally hurt people or to intentionally say bad things about other people or to pick at them or to like just give judgments and feel like you are above them or something. And you see, the thing is also very interesting. The reason someone says these things to you actually is because they themselves envy something you have and also are not very like they are very insecure about themselves too. So probably they have that one thing that you don't have. So and but they envy a lot more that you have. So in order to like make you feel below them, they tend to like then start picking out at the things you don't have, and you don't realize it because this then become a lie that you absorb and you feed to yourself, and then you completely forget all the things you have, and then everything you want is now what I have, and then now it's like a manipulation where I then start to control you and then I put you below me, and then all your life you live below me, not realizing that you're actually better than me, you know. So it doesn't matter if okay, I told Britney, she was like, doesn't concern me. and then I told another person, but it concerned that person. That word alone, even if it didn't concern Brittany, but it concerned her, Britney's nonchalance to it doesn't like remove the fact that I hurt another person, because the word itself is hurtful. So altogether, there should be no justification. There should be no fine line. As long as it's intended to belittle somebody, it's verbal bullying. It's wrong. It should be called out.
But Chidera, you see, the issue is, personally, it took like 12 years. It took coming out of senior high school to almost enter university before sitting down and being like, okay, I was actually verbally bullied. How then do I know instantly that I'm being verbally bullied? Because like Brittany says, people are like, it's not so deep. So she's trying to convince herself that after all, it's not so deep. And by the time you realize your self-esteem is like here, how do I know at that moment that no, these guys are bullying me?
Let me make this point. I feel like you know you are verbally bullied when that statement causes a change in your behavior.
Okay.
So let's say you said when you were growing up you were flat. Sorry, but you were flat. You then started moving with guys instead of ladies, and it caused a change in your relationship with ladies. You see, that's where you should have realized that no, what this person said or what that person said has caused a change in my attitude or my behavior. So I think that's answered that question.
Okay.
To also do with our religious orientation and a whole lot. So something that will not be okay with you, and so we're going to realize that in general it's very hard. So you have to be real. Based on the person involved, any small thing can be. That's what we do with.
But see, I feel like with verbal abuse, it depends on the relationship you have with the person.
Okay.
Let me use Chidera as an example. Maybe a brother to Chidera. I can insult Chidera anytime, anywhere. But a stranger, let's say Jata, if he should insult Chidera, Chidera might take it differently.
Okay.
Because Jata is a stranger, but I am family to her. You get it? So I think verbal bullying also depends on the kind of relationship we have with the person.
So are you saying that there can't be verbal bullying amongst friends?
There can, but you see, okay, me, for instance, if my friends, they do. At first, I was fat. I was slim when I came to university. Like, I became fat. People started laughing at me. When my friends laugh at me, I'm okay. I don't feel anything. But if I should hear an outsider who is not among my friends' circle say it, I feel hurt.
Sometimes the pain is even more coming from your circle, because when you're just saying I'm fat, you're also saying I'm fat.
You see, I feel like that's what I'm saying. If my friends say it, we all laugh at each other.
Okay, so that's on a personal level.
But if an outsider should say, "Hey, Lionel, you are biggie," then I feel offended.
Okay. I want to give an example. Okay. So in a group of like five friends, if you want to check, like critically analyze that friendship group, you'll find out that there's this one friend that is highly bullied.
Yeah. It's true.
I feel like the way people are categorized, because there's some people that you can't tell them shit. Like you say that if you get offended, they call you out. Like what the hell? Yeah. But why are you telling me this? I mean, there'll be another one who will just take it. I'm like, okay, it's okay. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. So, I think the statements, when they are made to you, it's you that weigh them on how they affect you.
Yeah.
You know, that like a statement can come from someone that is really your close friend, but you don't actually value the words she say. Meaning, like, you actually don't want to be like this person. So if the person says something to you, like, not even the person I want to be like, so you wouldn't value it, right? But imagine your mom who you love so much every day, actually. Of course, that becomes your really, like, this is what you start to absorb. This is the lies that you start to, like, put in your head.
That seems more psychological.
Yeah, so it becomes more psychological. Because actually, the reason you get an effect from cyberbullying is because you yourself have given that person the power to affect you. So, because I think there's so many verbal bullying everywhere. Actually, it's almost everywhere. Everyone is like on the throat to judge you, you know. But the reason it becomes really bad, or the reason you would say this is a verbal bullying that I don't want to see happen to me again, is because it actually like changed the trajectory of your life. And for it to be able to affect you, to change the trajectory of your life, it means the person that gave it had to have some sort of like power in your life. They really have to have some power. So, like you said, your friends probably don't actually have that much power in you. You know, they don't really affect you that much. But if you see people that affect you that much,
So sometimes it's personality.
Really
My issue is, you see, just last week, I have a friend. She'll probably be this height. And every time I see her, I'm like, "You're so short." And she's like, "No, I'm not short, I'm cute." And I'm like, cute is like a synonym for short people. Then one time, I call her short, I call her cute instead in public. And then because she knows I call her short, she takes cute as short. And I realize her mood changes. So after the class, I ask her, are you okay with me calling you cute? She's like, in the beginning it was okay, but I don't like it anymore. I was like, oh, that's fine. Which means at that moment I was a verbal bully. Almost every day we say things we don't mean, things we mean. How and at what point do I know that I'm being a verbal bully, and what do I do?
Oh, okay. So when the victim says no, at this point, stop. I don't like. That's when you have to. But if you continue, if you are being consistent, that's when you become a verbal bully.
How do I even know I'm a verbal bully in the first place? It was a joke.
You've called me short. Yeah. I said no, Cindy.
She was laughing when she said it all.
Some of this, I can laugh and tell you the most.
So how do I know?
I'll take it as okay. You see, when the person tells you, oh no, at this point I don't like it again, you can call me any other name, but this particular name, let's put a stop to it.
So we need to know when to take people serious.
I think the thing is, how would you know? So you have to have a moral obligation of yourself. Okay. You can't put the blame on her that, oh, she was laughing when I said it, so I didn't know that I was hurting her. You have to have that obligation on yourself to be cautious of the things you say to people. Okay, because you cannot like really predict how your messages will go. But when you're about to speak, you have to first ask yourself, this is what I'm about to say, will it benefit this person in a way? Like literally a lot of things are better left unsaid. Or a lot of us like to talk. So we will talk. So in case you want to talk, it's always advisable that you just chill. You know, like and be like, somebody said this,
reflect,
you know, like it was her, and someone said this, how will I feel? So I think I use that a lot, and I'm very like glad that I do this a lot in my head, because you approach conversations in a way that after this conversation, I want to see this person better. I don't want to see this person or uncomfortable to be in another conversation with me.
But Chidera mentioned something. She says people that bully others do so because they are very low self-esteem. Is that scientifically proven, or is some sort of assumption we all live on?
It's 100%. It is true.
Why is it true?
It's like they are mirroring their own feelings, like how they feel. That's what they're projecting to other people. For instance, if I'm not a happy person, I cannot give what I don't have. I can't give happiness. So in order to make myself feel good about myself, to feel that, okay, I'm not some loser or some bum, I want to like hurt another person. And when I see that person suffer, I'll be like, okay, I have power, I have control over this person. So that makes me feel better.
And what of the unconscious verbal bullying? Is it also done just to make me feel better? Because calling you short doesn't make me feel better.
Unconscious verbal bullying is a lack of discipline. And it's your fault.
Okay.
You can't say, oh, I just did it unconsciously.
Can it be a justification based on the relationship you have with the person?
If you're a mother, okay, and you keep picking at your daughter, for example, you're always like, you can't cook everything. Today it's hot, tomorrow is... She will never know how to cook. How difficult will it be for you to simply say, my dear, today you didn't do well, but you can do it like this, like this.
I think you have to start schooling like 90% of the African mothers.
Yes, they all need schooling. They all need schooling, because it's really so easy to just, instead of, oh my God, you're such a terrible daughter, who will marry you?
That is faster than, oh, you could do it.
So that's like, because we've normalized the lack of discipline in how we communicate with people. We've normalized just say anything you feel. It's not good to just say anything.
But what causes people to be verbal bullies? Is it environment? Is it religion? Is it how they grew up? Do I become a verbal bully by being bullied? At what point in time do people become professional verbal bullies?
Yeah.
Okay, so a professional verbal bullies can be, excuse me to say, but there's this guy on Twitter, X. bongo ideas.
Get us into trouble.
No, it's true.
That's okay.
Mostly, I don't know whether you read his tweets, but they are full of derogatory remarks.
Okay.
That's to me. When I read his tweets, I get bored. So he is an example of a professional verbal bully. But I feel like sometimes for someone to bully you, the environment is part, and you, the individual, to your part. You give room for them to bully you verbally.
Yeah. And our brains are working, so you can also restructure your mind or learn the bad words that you say to people and stop saying.
There's
Sometimes the first time you are doing it and they are giving you a voice and you have to pursue.
okay. What do you think about the belief that if I bully Lionel, he becomes confident? Is that assumption that if I tell you that you're stupid, suddenly you become intelligent? If I tell Lionel that he's
what you said there, I think in a way it boosts the confidence level of the individual. I'll use myself as an example. As I said earlier, I was fat. So last semester when we went home, I sat down and I was like, no, I'm about to graduate. I have to get my graduation body. So I started doing diet. And this when I came, all people were like, oh Lionel, I like the way you are. And on the onset, I said, oh, okay, then this size or this body stature is okay. So I've been practicing, I've been exercising daily, and I feel like because of that, now I can. At first, when there are two cars, I can't pass through. But now,
so you don't verbally put you in shape.
Okay, my friends, not outsiders. Okay. My friends.
So the kind of them.
Yes.
Wow.
In a way. But sometimes
I think I would not support this ideology because it already hurt you, and the emotional trauma that it took to get you back to shape is not worth it. Because, like, I agree that when you bully people, it actually puts them in the spot of, oh, I gotta work on myself, like, I need people to stop bullying me and stuff. But, like, the process of that, you working on yourself,
shouldn't be that harsh.
Can be different for so many different people. So, people know that emotional intelligence actually decide that let me re-channel this to educate myself. They can become depressed instead of re-channeling. So altogether, we cannot say bullying makes people confident because you can also be a friend that says to your friend, Lionel, I think you should actually try visiting the gym. I could support you. What do you need to visit the gym? And we go together. How difficult would that be? Instead of Lionel, you are fat.
Okay. Wow. It's been an interesting first episode. Guys, think about it. You could be a verbal bully. You called somebody stupid this morning. You probably laughed at that woman wearing the shoe this morning and said something to her that made her feel bad. So reflect and try to be a better person. Catch you on episode 2. Bye.